Hey, folks, Russ Bailey here on our very first ever video podcast. You may be hearing this on iHeartRadio, but if you would like to see the video part, make sure you go to our BrushPile Fishing Companion app on your phone or your smart TV, and you can see the actual video of this podcast. As always, we've got a great guest in store for us today, Blake Phillips from the Eye Hole Jig Company. Eye Hole's been with us for a couple years now, and I'm not going to lie to you. When I first heard about it, I thought, what? And it took me about one trip using these things, and I've used them ever since. You've heard me talk about them on Facebook and everything else. Great jig. So when we come back, Blake Phillips from Eye Hole Jigs. So stay tuned on the BrushPile Fishing Podcast. Hey folks, welcome back to our first ever video podcast, which is also on audio on iHeartRadio. But Blake Phillips, how we doing down there in Alabama, bud?
Hey, getting a little of your cold snap down here.
Oh, what's it down to down there? Well, like 60 or something?
Yeah, 69 today.
I don't want to hear it, man. It is cold up here. They're calling for temperatures the day after tomorrow. I think the high is going to be 23, 24. You want to come on up?
No, I've been up there before. I'm good down here. We get to fish year round.
Hey, I'll tell you what, Blake, you've been with us a couple years. I got to meet you last year at our first annual media camp down at Dale Hollow, which, man, that was a great time down there.
Yes, it was. Yes, Denny was a great host. I'm looking forward to going back there for sure.
Yep, and we've got another one coming up this spring, so we'll definitely see you there. But that's the first time I got to meet you and got to actually talk about your product with you face-to-face. And can you tell the people, first of all, what the heck is an Eye Hole Jig, and how did this whole thing get started?
Well, me and my wife, we started fishing these crappie tournaments, and we found out that if we put these things, I didn't even know what it was. It was a crappie nibble. We had seen it in action with the Baker boys out of Lake Weiss up there. They actually showed me when I was trolling they could catch more fish with them. And the problem is they wouldn't stay on the hook. And Reese had gotten frustrated with it, and she just wouldn't put them on there. And so I was like, man, there's got to be a better way to do this. And so I was just trying to make Reese happy and come back. And I actually drilled a hole out in the minnow head, and the nibble stayed in it. And it worked really good. I was astonished and just kind of stumbled up on it trying to make my wife happy.
Well, that's like every husband, ain't it?
Oh yeah. Yeah. You try. It's a challenge sometimes, but this was fishing, and I had been tinkering with lures, and it was just something that it just fell into place. It was, it's crazy.
So when you first started making these, the idea came in and you thought, man, I'm going to put this thing together. How much development went into it? How much time did it take to where you thought, you know what, this is it, this is ready to market?
I knew it was going to be a hit, so I kind of kept everything a little secretive and all that until I could figure it out. And then we're still developing. It's come a long way since then. I hand routed, I hand modified stuff to make them at first. And it was just one at a time, 6 at a time. And then I learned about spin casting, and that got production up. But now, we use computers to generate everything now. Now we're so precise. We have our weights to the hole is exactly the same in every jig head. It's just been growing. And I'm super pleased where we're at now. So it's taken this whole time to up now to keep working on it to get it where I'm finally happy now where we can really throw this to the market.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you what, like I say, I use them, and here's the thing. I use them in several different presentations. I use them under a cork, which me and you've been working on a little smaller one because when those fish are finicky, I like that small one. I have long line trolled with them. I've spider rigged with them. And I'll tell you what, you sent me, I just got back from a trip in Texas, And one of the shows I did was with Brian Carter, who had never used Eye Hole, and I can tell you he'll be using them from now on. But Brian, of course, is with the B&M Pro staff. We were down and we fished a lake. We were shooting docks, and you had sent me just before that trip some 124th ounce, which I'd never had. Let me just tell you, they were absolutely awesome. And I know Daryl Baker down at Weiss, he uses 124 for shooting, and we started using those. It has the exact fall that we need. And I'll tell you what, Brian actually had something on a little bit heavier, and it didn't take him long to switch to that 124. The problem was we were fishing a dock that was loaded with cover underneath, and we had 4-pound test. So we got real short real quick, and I wasn't giving him any more. I was keeping them for me. But I'll tell you what, the 124th ounce was absolutely awesome. And what all sizes do you have them in?
Well, we have that 124 was designed basically for dock shooting. A lot of guys use it on regular out there in open water too, but you're right on the fall rate. But we have a 16th that comes with 2 different hook sizes, and we also, it comes with a number 4 or a number 1 hook. So some of these guys on the block crappie and down south here, they like the smaller hooks. Over in Mississippi, they like the bigger hooks. And then we also build it in a light wire form. We had a lot of guys that were getting hung up, and we've gone with a light wire style too. So that way they can get down deeper in that brush and get their jigs back. So we have it in the 24th, the 16th, and the 8th. And then we redesigned one that's a pill heads design for the guys on the tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got that flat. So it gives that unique fall rate. We have
and you can still get that slab bite in there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. They'll stay in too. But we have the 132nd that me and you have worked on for a while now. They should be to my door. They're made in Missouri, and we finally got it figured out, and they're being poured right now. So we'll have the 132nd in time for the spring bite. So
and that 132nd, folks, here's where I needed that one, or ask Blake. We talked about it. You've seen, if you've been to my seminars or some of our shows, in the springtime, especially up in the north, these cold fronts on shallow lakes will shut these fish down like you wouldn't believe. So I fish that small little cork, just barely big enough to hold up whatever size jig head I'm using. And I want that small jig head because those fish are finicky. And what happens is a lot of times I'll just barely pop that. So it may only raise that jig a little bit. When it drops back down is when those fish will come up and they'll just mouth it. They won't take that cork under, but you'll see it just barely move. And when you see that, you set the hook. That's why I wanted that 32nd. And Blake has busted his tail coming up with this. And when it hits the market, I'll tell you what, especially for northern anglers, it's one that you're going to want to have because you're going to have the scent, you're going to have the small size jig head, and it's going to work. And the product that you have sent me so far on those that we've tested, been spot on.
Yes, sir. We use all mustad hooks. I really take it to heart on these jigs. I know it sounds crazy, but we build it with a lot of love. We don't want our guys, somebody out there that's caught the hook the fish of their lifetime to get off. Oh. So we're not using 1-cent hooks. We use high quality mustad hooks and everything. And the cool thing that we stumbled on was if you don't put the slab bites in there or the scent that you use, we just stumbled on, you actually may catch more fish without it. I know that sounds crazy, but accidentally that hole in there has caused an air chamber. That hole right there.
Yep.
It allows, you can see me through it, but that hole has caused an air chamber and displaces the water differently. So for the live scopers, when they cast out and that jig hits the water, it creates a bubble trail coming out without the scent in it. And we just stumbled up on that. And for some reason, the fish are attacked in it. I guess it's the water displacement or something. But that was just an accident.
It may wobble just a little bit different. Looks like a wounded minnow. Who knows? The good thing about that, of course, I use the bait pen by Easy Drift. Oh, so yeah. I'll have my slab bites in there. I can still put them on the hook, especially And again, we talk about a lot of times little things can make a big difference in a fishing trip. And if you can see something like that, hey man, something's up to it. And so now you improvise. That's the day you do put the slab bites on the hook instead of in the eye hole. Let those fish tell you what you want. And I think it's great that you come up with something like that.
That's correct. It's exactly true. And I think over these drip, I think they still make an ejector pin too for the guys who like to inject it in the eyes. That way you ain't grabbing the nibbles. But it's just something we stumbled up on. It's kind of like this hair jig right here.
I was going to talk about the hair jig next.
That's the one we call money right there. That thing has made us some money this year. We got third place in Gunnersville with it. We got second big fish in Kentucky, big fish on Darbone, twice actually, in the Crappie Masters tournament, and then media fish off later came off those hair jigs. Those hair jigs are just because they're the 124th. Okay.
Yeah. And I like those.
Yeah. That fall rate is just right. It drives this fish crazy. So it's come a long ways. We're very proud of where we're at right now.
Folks, we're speaking with Blake Phillips from Eye Hole Jig, if you just joined us. And Blake, let's talk about the future. Any new products that you're thinking about or just starting or anything like that?
Well, we've tinkered with the bass side of things. We got another patent pending on a worm weight that holds the scent in it.
Okay.
And, those, it's kind of like with the crappie fishermen. It's kind of hard to teach an old dog new tricks. Even in the crappie industry, it was a challenge to break through. But
we're creatures of habit, bud.
Yeah, it's true. But through word of mouth, and then when you get on the boat with somebody and that dude's smoking you, I mean catching fish after fish after fish, and he's using the eye hole jig and you're not, well, you kind of want an eye hole jig after that. And we're just truly blessed that it catches the fish the way it does.
Like I say, and I've used them in several different fishing patterns, techniques, and they work. I mean, that's just putting it simple. The first time I think I used them on a show, we were up at Delaware Lake near Columbus, Ohio, with a buddy that I went to school with. And he was pretty impressed because I know he made an order right after that. And speaking of which, how do people find them when they want to buy them? Where do they go?
Well, they can actually get them. I think y'all have them on your website.
We do.
We got a couple bigger stores like Grizzly Jig and Shields Outdoors, but we mainly cater to the smaller bait shops around the crappie lakes. So we're in about 50, 60 stores throughout pretty much Illinois and down, and then over to Arkansas, all down through here. It's just, we got stores scattered throughout and at the local lakes and stuff. Or, they can always go to us at eyeholejig.com.
Okay.
And find more stuff on it. But it's growing. I'll tell you, it's amazing. And we've learned a lot from making just one at a time to making hundreds. It's neat.
Well, I'll tell you what, season 8 for our show starting here soon, and you're going to see them quite a bit. So hopefully you grow a little bit more through our show. And that brings me to point, like Blake said, we've got them, folks. Anything that you see us use on the show, you can check out on BrushPileFishing.com. We've got our own store on there. And like I say, the products that we use on the show, including the Eye Hole Jigs, you can get them right there, order straight from our website. So I'll tell you what, Blake, the one thing I think I'm going to do, and I did a show with Kent Driscoll this summer. And yeah, don't just hold your stories to yourself. But we were casting in some pretty thick brush piles. So we had to use some weedless. And he has a guy that actually makes his jig heads into weedless jig heads. And I am going to send a couple of those to Kent, some of my eye holes, to where I can do some of that stuff. Because when you cast and it's that thick, I still like my lighter line that I can get away with. So I'll have to send you some of those when I get them. So Kent, if you're watching this, be on the lookout. You're going to have some jig heads sent to you here real soon. So
yeah, I want to see them some too.
I'll tell you what, they were outstanding. That show's going to air in season 8 too, on Percy Priest, and they did the trick. They really did. So
well, that's something we're just going to have to work on. I've been getting all the models in line, make sure we had all the sizes right, and I guess that would be the next progression is to make a weedless one. That would be, I would guess next year we'll be out with that because we're finishing up these new models for this year. So I would think by the time they get thick and then brushed by next, people get back out good, I'll have them ready for sure.
And 99% of the time, I'm not going with a weedless, but there are those times when you almost have to have it. So
I understand that completely. I like them losing the jigs personally, but it does better if they lose them.
Good for business, ain't it?
It's a little better for business. I don't teach them knots or anything. I try not to show people good knots. But a lot of the fish we chase with the terms and stuff is open water fish. And I have to remember, there's a lot of the anglers just don't tournament fish, and they're fishing those brush piles and those lay downs and all that stuff. So I have the light wire version. I know you don't really care for light wire. It's just a light wire is good, but you can't boat flip a fish with it. It's just not going to happen. But I can see where I need to get that weedless for the everyday fishermen for sure, so they don't lose them.
Well, and I think one of the things we lose sight of is and I don't have the numbers, but if you took the number of crappie anglers nationwide and then the number of tournament anglers, that's a very, very small. Most guys are the guys that can get out when they can and go fish on the weekends. I would say it's at least 95% of us crappie anglers,
And I forget about that a lot, and I'm guilty of it. But I got to remember the people I help all the time. I mean, they just want to catch a crappie, and it's not. I take it. I guess I take it for granted. It's so easy now, but it's not easy for everybody, and it wasn't easy for me. I remember when we first started these tournaments with Greasy, I didn't even have a scale. I didn't even know we were going to catch 7 fish. I didn't know how to do it. But I had to learn, and I need to go back and help these people that are struggling, to learn how to catch them. Because, like I said, we didn't think we were going to catch 7 fish to weight on our first tournament.
Yeah.
So that's why we picked up trolling. It was probably the easiest way to catch them, I think. Just throwing some lines out the back and pulling them along.
Well, that's when you tell them people they just need to watch brush pile fishing.
That's right. They do. I mean, everybody does. Everybody needs to. It's needed out there in a bad way. We can't overcome it, like with the live scope, for example. A lot of people just can't afford the live scope. We're fortunate, being on the tournaments. We're fortunate. I've been fortunate with Garmin to help me out. But we got to remember, our old days of using the flashers, or using a 15-foot rope with an anchor on it. When it dropped off, it was time to start fishing,
Absolutely.
And we got to go back to that because I'll tell you, I went fishing one time and my live scope went out. It's gone out a couple times and I've forgotten how to fish.
Yep.
You
get spoiled using that.
That's right. And we got to remember how to do it. Just with live scope, we've just learned different habits of the crappie, things we didn't know. We thought we knew, we didn't know. And it was mostly what our grandparents were teaching us.
Yep. Well, folks, we're going to take a break here. I want to thank our sponsors, B&M Pole Company, Crappie Magnet, Slime Line, Fishing Line, War Eagle Boats, Cornfield Crappie, and, of course, Eye Hole Jigs. And my buddy David from Driftmaster, best rod holders in the business by far. Erupt Fishing, the RTD, Easy Drift Trolling Systems, Offshore Tackle Company, Mossback Fish Habitat, Power Pole, and Hook and Bullet Sunglasses. Also, we have tourism partners for season 8. We want to thank them. Toledo Bend, the Toledo Bend Lake Country, Green River Lake, Holmes Bend Marina, and Adair County, Schaefer Lake, White County, and Dale Hollow, of course, Dale Hollow Marina, Clay County, and Denny, like you say, Denny down there. If you stay at his place and you can't be properly accommodated, then you're just not pleasable, because Denny will take care of you down there for sure.
Yeah, good people. Denny's great people. Great place. Beautiful place. Beautiful lake.
So, Blake, in closing, let me just tell you, I was in conversations yesterday with a guy you're familiar with, Kevin McCarley.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Kevin is catching some absolute monsters on Wheeler right now.
On that one.
Well, guess what? We're going to try to set up a trip, hopefully next week, and we're going to go get those winter fish while they're still biting good. So I'm sure we're going to use some eye holes down there. We're going to put them to use.
Yeah, he likes the purple up there. That purple works good up there in Wheeler, Neely Henry, and Gunnersville. He likes that purple head. And it also works good down in Florida, too.
Well, let me tell you. So that's one thing I want to talk about today and almost forgot. The other thing I like about the eye holes, you have some colors that a lot of places don't have in their jig heads. And the purple's one, and those 24th ounce that we were dock shooting with, that's what we used was the purple. But also you've got a blue that I love. So the colors too, you've got colors that other companies don't. And that makes a big difference, especially to certain anglers. And there's the blue I use quite a bit. The blue one and the purple, I absolutely love them.
That purple is it's actually a pearl purple. It's a pearl purple plum. That's easy to say. But it in that water, that clear water, and I'm sure it's clear up to, for some reason, they love that head. It's just, it works.
We've got a big series coming up. We're going to Florida here soon. And you talk about some clear water. They have a lot of it down there. So we'll give that purple a try down there.
It does really good down on the St. John's. They've been catching a lot of fish with it. That it's just something about it, it just, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't get it. I don't understand crappie. I don't think I ever will understand a crappie. But you got to have whatever bait you have confidence in for sure to make it work. And just play around with it, because we basically have 6 colors in the hair jig line that accommodate the different clarity of waters. And then we have 9 colors in our normal line, basically the same thing. And one area will order the red, the whites, and the blacks. One area will order the chartreuse, the oranges, and the pinks. The chartreuse is universal everywhere.
Sure.
But we'll start getting orders. I said, I bet you money that's going to Indiana, or that's going to Illinois. Well, that's going to Mississippi, and they just like their different sizes and their different colors in their different areas.
Well, I tell you what, Blake, we're going to see you here in a couple months. We're actually going to do a show with you down there in Alabama. Anything you'd like to add before we cut you loose here today?
Well, we just thank everybody. We appreciate everybody for the support and all the input. It's been the customer's input that's helped us make it better. We just want to thank everybody, and we're going to continue to grow and take it to the next level and see what we can do with it.
All right. Well, we enjoy your partnership. We wish you nothing but the best. And I'll see you in a couple months, and we're going to be on them slabs together.
Well, keep that cold weather up here. We need a warm snap when you come. We want to see you in January wearing shorts.
We won't argue with you there, bud. Hey, thanks for joining us today, Blake.
All right, Russ. It was a great time. Thank y'all.
You bet. Blake from Eye Hole Jigs, folks. And it's always good talking to him. He's an avid tournament angler himself, and so he knows what guys are looking for. And just like I say, a great, great product, because guys that really know me know that we've turned down some things on the show because I just didn't believe in them. But I'll tell you what, the Eye Hole is a super, super product. So before we take off today, let's look at a little tournament action across the country. We have a lot of places just now starting to get us their 22 schedules. We'll start with the Indiana Slab Masters. They've got tournaments coming up March 26th, Patoka Lake, April 9th at Lake Freeman and Schaefer, and April 23rd and 24th at Mississinawa Salamone. That is a super event. Also May 7th on Monroe. So there's their early spring tournaments. We have a new one, the Sunshine State Crappie Trail. February 5th, they'll be on Lake Okeechobee, and March 5th on Lake Tahoe. And again, that's the Sunshine State Crappie Trail. You can check them out on Facebook. Also, the Midwest Crappie Chasers. They will start March 5th on Truman Lake, Missouri, March 26th on Hillsdale Lake, Kansas, And then April 16th on Clinton Lake, Kansas. And again, that's the Midwest Crappie Chasers Tournament Trail. We also have the 2022 West Tennessee Crappie Trail. They will start March 5th on Kentucky Lake. March 19th, they'll be on Reelfoot. And April 2nd, they'll be on Pickwick. And again, that's the West Tennessee Crappie Trail. We have the Heart of Illinois Crappie Club. March 19th, they will kick things off at Sangrias Lake. April 2nd, they'll be at Banner Marsh. April 16th, they'll be at Lake Decatur. And Lake Decatur's turned into a pretty good lake that way. The National Tournament Trails Crappie Masters, January 21st, 22nd, again on the St. Johns River. February 25th, 26th on Darbone, Louisiana, and March 11 and 12 on Grenada. Those are three darn good lakes to start your trail off. ACT, they don't have their schedule printed out just yet. We'll have Crappie USA here on the next podcast. So if you have a tournament trail and you'd like your information on our podcast, just send it to us. You can email it to me, russbailey24@gmail.com, probably the easiest way. And we'll get those on our audio podcast as well as our video podcast, which we're just starting. Like to remind everyone, if you're listening to this on iHeartRadio, please, for your smartphone and your smart TV, pick up our new BrushPile Fishing Companion app. It is absolutely free, and this app does everything. It's got our shows. You have instant access. You have your own fishing log in the app. We have a bunch of things in there. Check it out. Blake, thanks for joining us, bud.
Hey, man, it was a great time. I can't wait to see you in January.
All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Stay tuned. We'll be back for another one, and check out all the action on BrushPileFishing.com.